Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor?
She has, sends her regrets. She has an event to attend this evening.
Mr. Collins?
Here.
Ms. Gresham?
Here.
Ms. Hurst?
Here.
Attorney Murphy?
Present.
Mr. Gonzalez?
Again, he's sends his regrets. He has an event to attend.
Mayor Sarno?
Present. More than sufficient votes. This matter passes. Let's get up for a moment of silence and a pledge of allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, and I hope everybody's staying cool out there as we hopefully come to the end of this heat wave. With the indulgence, if it's possible, with the indulgence of the school committee, if we could take Tom Rochelle out of order, or Madam Superintendent, you indicated that you might have others that are coming on.
Yeah, I don't know if we have members from Discovering Justice online or available on Zoom.
Patty will double check that.
Thanks.
Well, we do have,
Great.
Oh, they're on? Oh,
could you say something, please? So we know you're, no? Try again, please. Could you try again? No, it's still mute. Georgie, are you checking internally? Thank you for your patience. And to the viewing public, thank you for your patience. Technical difficulties. George, can she try again? Okay. You want us to go into a recess, or we can come? I can start the agenda and we can come back to it. He'll still be able to work on it. Okay. We're going to start the agenda, and then we're going to come back. As soon as the technical difficulties have been resolved, we'll come back to honor Mr. Rochelle and Partner Justice Award. So thank you for your patience. We'll go to approval of the minutes of the following school committee meetings: April 11, 2024, regular school committee meeting; April 25th, 2024, regular school committee meeting; May 2nd, 2024, special school committee meeting; May 9th, 2024, regular school committee meeting. Is there any questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, if possible, can we separate out those minutes and vote on them each
Sure.
instead of as a slate? And I'm so sorry, do we have the 2nd and the 9th in our packet, or were they were emailed?
The 9th should be in here. I was going to request that we table the 2nd.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
the second needs to be tabled?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so of note, the May 2nd special school committee meeting will be tabled temporarily on that. So let's go individually then. April.
I make a motion, we accept the April 11th regular school committee meeting minutes.
Motion made by Mr. Collins, or second? Second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
No.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, four to sufficient votes, this matter passes.
I make a
April
motion
20
we approve April 25th, 2024 regular school committee meeting.
Motion made by Mr. Collins. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
No.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, four to sufficient votes, this matter passes. Thank you.
April 2nd has been tabled, so I'll make a motion we approve May 2nd, May 9th regular school committee meeting minutes.
Motion made by Mr. Collins. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, four to sufficient votes, this matter passes. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll now move to voting items. A is to approve an expenditure of $43,730 from the Department of Higher Education in partnership with the Massachusetts Department of Elementary and Secondary Education FAFSA completion grant. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
This grant was reviewed and approved during the Budget and Finance Subcommittee chaired by Chris Collins. This grant supports FAFSA completion initiatives. It's through the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education with support from the Department of Higher Education. This is specifically targeting gateway cities from the Healy Driscoll administration, recognizing the challenges that are surfaced around the new FAFSA and the delays in getting those completed.
Thank you, Dr. Balch. Any questions or comments, Mr. Collins, from the Budget Committee?
It received unanimous approval, and it's well needed, that's for sure.
Thank you. Any
So
other
I'd
questions?
recommend that we approve.
Thank you. Any other questions or
Make a
comments?
motion that we approve, rather.
Hearing none, motion by Mr. Collins. Is there a second, please?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient votes. This matter passes. Thank you. B is to approve appropriation of carryover in the amount of $1,440,000 fund investments on the attached list. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
This summary was reviewed and approved during the Budget and Finance Subcommittee. The report identifies line items for carryover. The first three are to support the work that Dr. Johnson is doing for student support services. Azelle Kavan is conducting an internal audit of internal and external communications. There are some facilities improvement, repairs. There are line items for the academic team budgeted there, as well as HR support and funding set aside for school committee. If there are any questions, I believe Alex Levante is on Zoom.
Thank you, Dr. Balch. Mr. Collins, Chair of Finance.
I would just give the same comment that we give annually when we do this, just so that anybody in the public looks, that's a big number, $1.44 million. And we don't want anybody thinking we've got all, slush funds of money or money sitting out there. This is a $750 million corporation. We budget over a year in advance with the hopes of spending it in every department. Them in, and then we reallocate them to needs.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Any other questions or comments?
May I ask a quick question?
Ms. Hurst, yeah?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Collins, what was in the school committee budget line item? What does that consist of?
During the budget process, we added $200,000 to the school committee budget because we were anticipating maybe doing contracting some differently. And since when the allocation came up with $167,000 not being used, just left, we said, let's put it into the school committee budget, and if we don't need it, it can go back. But when we redo budgeting, we've got that funds there in case we look at doing things differently, which we've been discussing.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved, Mr.
Motion by Mr. Collins, a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passes. Thank you very much. C is to approve the FY 2025 tuition rates for public day and alternative school programs as listed on the attached document. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
This item was reviewed and approved during the Budget and Finance Subcommittee. This indicates the cost of educating students who are coming into Springfield and sending students to alternative campuses so we can recoup the funds.
Thank you, Dr. Balch. Any questions or comments?
It did receive unanimous
Mr. Collins?
approval, and this money is a true representation of what it actually cost to educate a student in any one of those programs, because we do have occasion where people from outside the district are placed into these programs, whether it's from DESE and whether it's from Department of Child and Family Services. But every once in a while, there's somebody put in, and this is what it would cost for that agency to put somebody in a program.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, there's a motion on the floor.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Collins, there's a second, please.
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passes. Thank you. D is to approve extending existing access to school security cameras MOU for 90 days. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
This MOU went through Legislative and Contracts Committee, chaired by Ms. Monroe Naylor, and it was a proposal to extend the existing camera MOU for 90 days and tabling the discussion for the incoming superintendent.
Okay, so there's no significant changes at all.
Correct. It's existing.
Existing okay. Any
But-
other?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, if I could. So I was at that meeting, and I know that Chairwoman Monroe Naylor, who chairs that committee, wasn't here. And so the suggestion was to extend that contract for 90 days because she wanted the incoming superintendent to be able to weigh in on it. And please correct me if I'm wrong, because Mr. Collins was also present, considering the controversy of when that policy was brought forward to the committee from 3 years ago. And so instead of extending it for the 3 years or however long it was being requested, there was a suggestion made that it be extended for 90 days to give the new superintendent an opportunity to weigh in.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No, it makes perfect sense to let the new superintendent
Yes.
have a chance to see
Well,
this.
yeah.
So-
It's been quite successful. Okay. Is there a motion on the floor, please?
So moved.
I'll make the
Motion by Mr. Collins, or second?
second.
Second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
No.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient votes, matter passes. Thank you very much. The E is to approve revised attendance policy. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
Great. The proposed policy is in your packet. The policy went through student and parent concerns, chaired by Ms. Gresham. We had an initial policy that was adopted in 2009, subsequently revised in 2011, and again in 2019. We had an internal team, including Jeannie Clancy and others, that met to ensure the policy was really reflective of the changes that needed to be made to be more responsive to the needs of our students. And tonight, we are joined by our Chief of Family and Community Engagement, Jose Escobrano, to discuss some of the changes.
Mr. Escobar, if we have any questions, and Ms. Gresham, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we went through student and parent concern, and we were all in favor of the revisions, and they are aligned with DESE's current recommendation. And these, they will be on the website also in the student handbook. So if you want to add.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham.
I could say something.
Yeah, Attorney Murphy. Yeah.
I was there at the meeting also with Ms. Gresham, and thank you, Mr. Escribano. And it was very informative. We have 7,000 kids, and please correct me if I'm wrong. 7,000 kids that are challenged with respect to the attendance, so that's a big number. And obviously, a lot of it was post-COVID driven, and it's a national problem, a state problem, so it was a very informative meeting for me. And I hope that there's a lot of policies in place to try to bring that up. And hopefully that's what will happen. So it was a good meeting, I would suggest.
Thank you, Attorney Murphy. Mr. Escobar, would you like to comment on it at all?
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the major changes. Again, we wanted to make sure that the policy aligned with DESE and the state law. And what we wanted to do is take procedures out of the policy. And because what we want to do with the procedures is because it's such a significant problem and it's a multifaceted approach to addressing it, that we wanted to revise the procedures as we go, and things that are not working, we want to be able to take those procedures out and then add those things that are working. And one of the big focuses with the new attendance policy is that we're going to really be focusing on addressing the barriers of attendance and really focusing on the family. If you want to go to page 3, again, we're in line with the state law about meeting with families and action planning with families, and I think that's a big difference in our approach next year is going to be really working on addressing the barriers and meeting with them. And so a huge part of that process came from Jeannie Clancy and the doctors at Bay State, and I think Jeannie Clancy might be on, but a lot of input from them around doctor's notes and really addressing the inequalities around getting access to doctors and some physicians not being able to see the students. So we wanted to make sure that that wasn't going to be a barrier to addressing or for parents and making sure that we can meet with them whenever there's significant absences. So those are some of the major highlights or changes to the attendance policy, but I welcome any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Escobar. Any questions or comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Escobar, do the public a favor and get out there what DESE's definition of chronically absent is, because they blame you, they blame the principals, and it's the DESE definition. So if you could just highlight that.
Sure.
We understand it because we went through your meeting, but for the public, please, I think it'll be helpful.
Yeah, I appreciate that question and that comment. And that was one of the main things is that we wanted to create clarity in our attendance policy and really spell out what those definitions mean. And on the first page, one of the things that DESE considers chronically absent is any student who is absent for 10% of the school year. If they're there the whole year, that works out to about 18 days. So if a student is out on average 2 days a month, by the end of the year, they would be chronically absent. Now, DESE doesn't distinguish between excused or unexcused, which was a big issue for us because parents would say, we have a doctor's note. And we would say, well, that's fine, but according to DESE's regulation, they're still considered chronically absent. And so we wanted to make sure that that was clear for parents, that they understood that. But again, with the second piece of working with families and calling them in and meeting with them and addressing those barriers, that part of it is really to kind of tackle the issue of chronic absenteeism. And obviously it looks differently for elementary and high school, but we're going to be working with the high schools similarly. And then, it's going to be a lot of input from different stakeholders. I've just was on a meeting this week with DCF, and we're meeting again this summer to collaborate and really work out how do we all collaborate together between DCF, the courts, our staff, to make sure that we're really looking at this issue and addressing the issue.
Thank you, Mr. Escobar.
I just wanted to make sure that
Collins, yep.
he got that out there. No one likes to be labeled something like chronically absent, and I want to make sure, because right now they're blaming Jose, or they're blaming the principal or the teacher for their child getting that label, and it's a DESE requirement. They don't have any choice. I just wanted anybody who's listening to be able to understand that. So I think it was just important that we all get that out there.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out because that is a very important distinction regarding that. But just to clarify that for parents too that may be watching, if your child has a documented medical issue, DESE may label them as chronically absent, but we would treat that differently based on medical documentation. And that's why we really want to work closely with Bay State, the nursing staff, and the school staff to really address those barriers.
And this is noted before, thank you, Mr. Escribano, has been a nationwide problem. Nationwide problem.
Correct. I mean, it's a nationwide problem. It's also a problem that's been historically, I mean, Massachusetts was the first state to implement a mandatory school, and that was in the 1800s. So they've been tracking chronic absenteeism ever since then. I mean, different issues now we're facing. DESE recognized that after COVID, there was a spike, and they really wanted to address that.
It changed the whole playing field.
Yeah.
Thank you for your work on this.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask some questions? Good evening, Mr. Escribano. I have a couple questions. So are you in essence saying that DESE has this definition/policy, and we have a policy that doesn't necessarily align because we allow for there to be a level of flexibility as to why students are absent based on this criteria, the 6 criteria that are in this document, and as long as they provide a note, then we will deem it excused. But DESE doesn't see it that way, so they very well still may get that letter in the mail. And so how do other surrounding districts do it?
Yeah, so just to kind of get into that a little bit, so DESE really just looks at the total number. So they don't really get into the nuance of which students are chronically absent. They just look at the total, and that's how they calculate our accountability. So we as a district, we do look at, we do get into the granular which students are absent, because then that way we can distinguish, is it a legitimate medical issue where they, are going to Boston, for a treatment. And so we would not treat that student the same as a student, with 30, 40 absences for no really good reason. And so just to kind of distinguish the thing, the facts that DESE will they look at the total number. They don't really look at a per student, like this student, is absent. They just look at the total.
But it ultimately counts against us.
Yes, it does count against us. One of the other things that I don't know if everybody, like the public knows, but also the ZEP schools roll into our district attendance. So this past year, we've been really coordinating with the ZEP schools to make sure that we're aligned with our policy and what we do with our procedures to make sure the overall attendance numbers, we see improvement in the overall attendance numbers, whether they're ZEP schools or not. Individually, the schools are accounted for differently, but total, they roll up into the district's accountability, both ZEP and our schools.
And so I have one more question,
Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, if I can. Or two. One question and one comment to what you just said. So for me, when I hear that, and I hear that there is this place where we don't align with DESE, and we're getting, we're being held accountable, or it looks, I forget the wording that Mr. Collins just used, it looks bad on us, for the lack of a better phrase. I feel like this is one of those opportunities where there's some advocacy that needs to happen with DESE around how they're designating chronically performing districts, because it doesn't necessarily seem equitable, right? And it's not just Springfield, as we know. And so they probably really need to relook at how they're defining absenteeism, or chronic absenteeism. I was wondering if you could just share a little more about the buyback program.
Sure. So prior to this year, the buyback programs, and this is according to DESE, I've had several meetings with DESE attendance staff. Prior to this year, any district was allowed to kind of configure their own buyback the way they wanted to. Because there was such a big push, and I don't know this for a fact, but I'm suspecting, because there was such a big push, I kept asking DESE about the buyback, and they said, yeah, we're hearing from a lot of districts about, can you clarify the buybacks? What does it mean? And so probably around end of February, maybe beginning of April, they came out with a memo to just define buybacks. Again, it kind of hurts us a little bit because I know Putnam does their after-hours programs, and they do a lot of stuff to really work with students, but DESE does not, with the new memo, they do not want any of the buybacks on the same day that school is in session. So next year, so this year, what we had to do is just look at those buyback programs that happen either on school vacation weeks or Saturday. So a lot of our secondary schools were doing buybacks on, on this, every Saturday or on the school vacation. What they did clarify, though, is they don't distinguish buybacks either elementary or secondary. So that's another thing that we could possibly look at as a district, is procedurally saying that we, if a school has money, they may offer a April vacation week buyback for families, or winter break buyback or whatever. But again, that would be dependent on whether the school has the funding to do that. And some schools do and offer extra tutoring and all that extra help. But the distinction is that they don't want it. It has to be 4 hours, and they don't want it on a day that school is in session.
So they couldn't do it after school?
No. And I advocated for Putnam because Putnam does an amazing job with their after-school program and their, their night school and bringing kids in. But they, as of right now, DESE is saying no. So you're right, to your point, there is some advocacy work for DESE, because the buyback and all those are DESE procedures or policy, not state law. So there's some, wiggle room there as far as how they do things.
Would you think, Mr. Escobar, that if Ms. Hurst is done, there'd be some consideration, especially for vocational schools? Because, it is a beneficial program, and I know they look at the congregate number. We try to personalize it and see if there is really extenuating circumstances, medical circumstances, and obviously the red flags. If chronic, we want to be able to turn that around. But do you see on the on vocational that they might maybe have some flexibility? Because they are going to school, and
Yeah,
they are
I've been advocating for that, but they haven't budged. But I think it's going to need some more advocacy. Putnam's doing an amazing job, like one of the top schools, and they only they only have academics half the year, if you think about it. So, but a lot of the work they do is they have the winter break school, they have the April vacation school, they have the program after dark, but they're not getting credit for those kids attending. The summer, the winter break, and the vacation boot camp, yes, but not the after-school after-hours program, which they do a lot of work tutoring kids and getting kids caught up and doing a lot of extra work. But according to DESE, they are not counting that, which is a shame. But yeah, it's going to take a lot of advocacy for that.
Thank you for your continued efforts. Ms. Hurst?
So it's interesting that you mentioned the vocational schools, because I agree, and I think that's an interesting point. I also am thinking about, so for 2 years now, right, I'm thinking about the external football team in the city, right? Not those that are related to our high schools, but we had well over 100 kids travel to Florida for nationals, if we remember, right? And so I do remember, and I cannot recall which school committee it was somewhere in the eastern part of the state, that amended their policy because they had so many kids that were traveling nationally for soccer or nationally for football, and they were primarily K through 8th, or I think it was like 3rd through 8th grade. And so I think about those kids because they are going to be out of school, and it's interesting to hear that you're not allowed to do it on the same day. Because when those kids got back, I know that my son personally had to stay after school every single day the week and the week following to make up for that week that they were out. And so I really think it's about the effort that's made, and not, I just think that the barrier of determining when they can buy it back doesn't make sense.
Yeah, a lot of the rationale is that if how we say if they're in school for more than half a day, it counts as a as an attendance, as being present. And so I think that's the justification they're using. But the district has the authority to mark those kids excused or unexcused, which allows them to make up the work in high school. They can, get the credits back. But DESE will still consider those kids absent. And if they reach the 18, like let's say they're out for 5 days, and then they have COVID and they're out for another 5 days, they're already at 10. So, it could easily creep up, and DESE will just roll those in. I think that's another big reason why the spike. I think there's been a lot of education around being ill. So right now, if you were, prior to this, if you're out with COVID, you were out for 5 days. I mean, that might have changed, but if you have the flu, you're out for 5 days. RSV, you're out for 5 days. So I think parents are more educated around being healthy and not spreading. But those 5 days, you're on, that adds up quick. If the kid's out twice for RSV and COVID, that's 10 days. So it can creep up really quick. But so I think that could contribute to the spike. But DESE is really, their effort is to reduce the numbers. And they're leaving it up to the districts. They're not really giving us much guidance other than family engagement and buyback. So those are really the two options. They haven't told us how to do it. They just said buybacks and family engagement. So we are making an effort with the family engagement piece to address our chronic absenteeism. But yeah, so that's how they see things.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. So maybe we might have to, in our own statistics, maybe put a little footnote where we have those extenuating or special
Yep.
circumstances saying, by the way, DESE says this percentage point, but by the way, we have this percentage point of students who did make up that time or who were out on, medical type things, but also made up the time on it. So thank you for your efforts, and Barbara, thank you for your efforts. I don't know if there's any other questions or comments. Hearing none, is there a motion on the floor?
So,
There's a all right, motion by Ms. Gresham. Is there a second, please?
second.
Second by Mr. Collins. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient votes. This matter passes. Thank you. I just wanted to get an update from Focus Springfield, Georgia, or Josue. Are we able to get on for Mr. Rochelle, Tom Rochelle, the individual, the young lady that wanted to speak on his award? Okay. I'm trying, Tom. I'm trying. Okay. You're welcome. Okay, they'll let us know. Now we'll move to F, approve a City of Springfield diploma for Grace Duval. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
All right, this has been vetted through Dr. Yolanda Johnson, the Chief of Student Services, and the student has met all of the graduation requirements and is eligible for a high school diploma through the Springfield Public Schools.
Thank you, Dr. Balch. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Attorney Murphy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Congratulations, Grace. Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Congratulations also. Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Congratulations. Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, and congratulations, Ms. Duval, and we wish you continued success. More than sufficient votes on this matter. It passes. Thank you very much. G is to approve a City of Springfield diploma for Travis Boyd. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
Again, this has been vetted through Dr. Yolanda Johnson, Chief of Student Services. Student has met all of the requirements and is eligible for a high school diploma through Springfield Public Schools. Congratulations, Travis.
Thank you very much, Dr. Balch. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gresham. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hurst. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Congratulations, Travis. Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Congratulations, Travis. Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Congratulations. Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, congratulations, Mr. Boyd, and wish you continued success. More than sufficient votes, this matter passes. Thank you. H is to approve a city diploma for Dylan Thans. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
This has been vetted through Dr. Yolanda Johnson, Chief of Student Services. Student has met all the requirements to be eligible for a high school diploma from Springfield Public Schools. Congratulations, Dylan.
Thank you, Dr. Balch. Is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gresham, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hurst. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Congratulations. Dylan? Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Congratulations, Dylan.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, congratulations, Dylan. More than sufficient votes. This matter passes. Continued success. I is to approve a city diploma for Riley. I do. Superintendent.
Right. Also
Walsh, please.
vetted through Dr. Yolanda Johnson, Chief of Student Services. Student has met all the requirements for graduation and is eligible for a high school diploma from Springfield Public Schools. Congratulations, Riley.
Thank you, Dr. Balch. There's a motion, please.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Gresham, is there a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hurst. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Congratulations, Riley, yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Congratulations, Riley, yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Congratulations, Riley, yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, congratulations, Riley, and continued success. More than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Thank you very much. We'll now move to J. That is approve the 2024-2025 school committee schedule. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
The schedule is in your packet. It outlines the upcoming school committee meeting dates for the next school year. I'd just like everybody to bring your attention to the last date, which falls on a Wednesday, in honor of celebrating Juneteenth holiday. So that meeting was changed.
Thank you, Dr. Balch. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Collins, there's a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hurst. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Thank you very much. K is a vote to ratify the MOA with the clerk.
To bring this forward for approval for the upcoming clerk union contract negotiations.
Thank you very much. Is there a motion on the floor, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Collins, there's a second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Hurst and Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Thank you. L is to vote to extend the starting date for Dr. Sonia Donnell as superintendent on or before, and I think there's going to be an amendment made. Ms. Gresham?
Yes. Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. I would like to ask for amend to the 22nd of July because I feel we need a little more time.
Thank you very much. And this is on or before, so there's been a motion to amend to July 22nd, made by Ms. Gresham. Is there a second?
Second.
Oh,
Second. You
oh,
made them.
se-
Oh,
Seconded by Mr. Collins. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. Thank you.
On the question, Mr. Mayor, I'll move the question now. That was just the amendment.
Oh, that's right.
I'll
I'm
move the
jumping
question.
ahead of time here. That's right. On the question, is there a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hurst. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient vote. This matter passes. M is the vote to review and approve a draft response to an open meeting law complaint. Madam Superintendent, Dr. Balch.
All right. The response is in your packet. We have Attorney Phelps here to discuss the response.
Attorney Phelps, please.
So the open meeting law complaint that was filed as indicated in my draft response. I'm sorry, there's an echo.
George?
high
The
pitch.
whole sway?
I don't know if I'm too close.
It's okay.
The complaint alleges that there was there was a required meeting prior to me writing the response to the open meeting complaint that was heard then on May 31st. Pursuant to my contract that the school committee signed, I am delegated to respond to complaints, and I did so by the school committee's delegation. So the way it works for an open meeting complaint is the complaint must be filed with the chair of the public body. In this case, Mayor Sarno sends it to me pursuant to my contractual obligations. I drafted the complaint. There is, and I've attached or reference to several Attorney General determinations indicating that that's perfectly appropriate and consistent with the open meeting law. The other item, I received a question, and I believe it was Ms. Hurst asked me whether or not an open meeting complaint is against the public body or individual. An open meeting complaint is always against the public body. In a review of approximately 240 annual filings with the Attorney General's office, every single filing is against the public body. That is the AG's jurisdiction. The form does ask for actions of individual members, and that was filled in. But again, any determination would be with regards to the public body itself. And I specifically cited a Holyoke a complaint filed against the mayor of Holyoke and the Holyoke City Solicitor in 2023. And the Attorney General writes, the allegations in your complaint that the mayor and city solicitor violated the open meeting law and concerning the mayor's conduct generally, even if true, would not constitute violations of the open meeting law. Therefore, we decline to review your complaint. So that's items 1 and 3. The second item that was alleged was that I failed to inform members regarding an extension. To answer an open meeting complaint by the public body must be filed within 14 days. We were at the 14th day, and I so informed the public body. I am not a member of the public body, so the allegations in this complaint about my conduct is not a subject matter of the open meeting law. So the draft response is before you.
Thank you, Attorney Phelps. Any questions or comments?
Yeah, may I ask 2 questions, Mr. Mayor? Attorney Phelps, I have 2 questions. So one, if I'm understanding correctly, the complaint's impetus is based on the complaint that was, the open meeting law complaint that was filed by Tara Parrish. Was that the impetus of this? Is that how you read it?
The item before you today is based upon the conduct that occurred during the school committee meeting on May 31st. It is time barred from any discussion regarding Ms. Parrish's complaint because that matter was already dealt with and the 30 days having passed. And it's time barred. So that's not before you tonight.
Right, so this was not a new complaint, it was being filed because of the previous complaint.
I wouldn't say because of the previous complaint. It was what happened here in this room regarding that complaint.
Okay, and then I think my second question was, or is, in the letter to Mrs. Aroux when it says the committee met on Thursday, is this what you're referring to? Is this the meeting?
So
June 20th?
That's today. So this is my draft letter to send to the Attorney General and to the complainant, indicating that the committee, you all are meeting right now, so met on Thursday, June 20th, to review the complaint and the allegations and consider remedial action. But you're also, by law, have to consider the response and make a response within 14 days.
And so the last time we reviewed one of these complaints, we had a special meeting. Was that just because of the time frame, or would that typically be the process to review complaints that come in like this?
So that was because of the time frame. If you remember, the 30th was the interviews that this body conducted with the candidates for school committee. The day before that, on the 29th, was the public interviews with the with the candidates for superintendent. So it was a scheduling issue that brought it to the day after.
Okay.
On
I
the
just am trying to
31st.
understand what our process is. So if we were to get future complaints, they would always come to us unless there was a time constraint through the open, I mean, it wouldn't be a special meeting to go through the response. This would be our opportunity to review this response and to respond to the.
That's correct. Some public bodies even do it in executive session and then move into open session, but I think the transparency is such that this can be discussed in open session.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Any other questions or comments? Is there a motion on the floor?
So, Mr. Mayor, if
Ms.
I
Gresham,
may,
yes.
so this is, we're voting to review and to approve of this?
As we did with the last one, Barbara, yeah.
So the review is going on right now, and so I made the attestation that you met to review the complainant's allegations, and you do have to vote on the response. And that's why this is in draft form before you, to say, go ahead and send it to the complainant, and I have to file a copy with the Attorney General.
As we did before.
All right, perfect.
Thank you, Ms. Gregg.
May I ask one more
Yeah, go ahead, Ms.
When is the deadline to respond to this response?
Tomorrow.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, is a motion on the floor?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Collins, or second? Second. Second by Attorney Murphy. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
No.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, four to sufficient votes, matter passes. Thank you, Attorney Phelps. We will now, Tom, we're going to try to, you are now up. Georgie, Josue, are we able to get? Okay. Thank you for your patience, Tom, and your wife's patience, too. Could you please say something, ma'am?
Laura?
Laura, are you on? Oh, there she is. Okay, hi, Laura.
But we still can't
She's still.
hear her.
Ca- Hold on. We're trying. Yeah, hold on. We might have to lip read here, you know.
It may sound way too obvious, but you're not muted on your computer, are you?
Yeah. No. Oh!
All right.
Say the
We're
magic.
good.
Say the magic word, Chris. Way to go. Well, we have. This is a very well-deserved recognition for Tom Rochelle, and he's here with his lovely wife. An achievement of receiving the Partner for Justice Award to be presented June 26, 2024. And I will turn it over to Madam Superintendent Dr. Balch, please, for an intro, and I'm sure other committee members would like to say a few words before we turn it over to you, Tom, and Laura, for your 35-page dissertation. Dr. Balch?
I'm really honored and proud to have Tom here this evening. He is part of my team, and he is absolutely incredible. So I'm delighted that we can honor you this evening. He is being recognized for his work with Discovering Justice, as he has worked diligently to integrate civics education programs into our Springfield Public Schools curriculum. In your packet, you can read about all of the amazing work that Tom has done over his career in Springfield Public Schools, and really just proud to have him. He's a true ambassador for the work, and not only the work within our district, but sharing these opportunities across the Commonwealth and really expanding justice and equity program across the state. So I'm really honored to have you as part of my team, and I truly appreciate your leadership and your commitment to equity and justice. We are very proud of you. And we are joined by Laura Brenner this evening, who is the Director of Discovering Justice Education.
Ms. Brenner, hopefully yes, okay.
Thank you all for having me this evening. My name is Laura Brenner. Discovering Justice, we're a justice programs officer with civic education nonprofit, and our in-school and after-school programs help students across Mass examine the workings of the justice system, explore the ideals of justice, and prepare them to engage in our democracy. So I'm going to take just a couple minutes to tell you about how I met Tom and our work together. Tom and I met 3 years ago when I was introduced to him as the Director of Humanities in Springfield. We were in the parking lot of strategic plan at Discovering Justice, not yet present in your district, and we wanted to innovate and update our programs, particularly our 2013 elementary social studies curriculum called Children Discovering Justice. From our very first meeting, it was clear to me that Tom was exceptionally knowledgeable and dedicated educator, a collaborative leader, and above all, a fierce advocate for his district. He spoke about students and teachers of Springfield Public Schools with immense and genuine esteem and pride. As the Director of Humanities, Tom saw that our civics programs closely aligned with Springfield's portrait of graduate and spoke of the importance of preparing your students as citizens of their community and elevating their voice through civics or social studies, traditionally marginalized subjects. Behind Tom's enthusiastic words was ambitious, actionable leadership that moved these ideas to concrete, rigorous, and justice-based programming for your students. Over the next 3 years, we embarked on a partnership to develop and pilot new 3 elementary civics models in the district, which became a model across the state and is now used in over 40 districts recommended by the Department of Education. Tom also brought the Discovering Justice mock trial and appeal programs to 5 middle schools and 1 high school across the district, where had previously served none. Every conversation since our first one in spring of 2021, Tom has demonstrated the same passion and high regard for Springfield Public Schools. He's always thinking about creative ways to bring programs to more of the students and ways to improve programming to reflect the students. Thanks to Tom's bold ideas, willingness to try new things, connect us to community members, and advocate for the best for SPS, starting from kindergarten, every K-3 student in Springfield has access to high-quality, culturally responsive, standards-aligned civics curriculum that engages them in their community. Elementary teachers are engaging in professional development to support strong cross-curricular pedagogy. Each semester, teams of middle schoolers transform into student attorneys and argue their case in front of real judges at the Springfield courthouse. And the work is being sustained by being included in the budget, as well as with the DESE Civics Trust Grant, supported by Tom's cultivation of school leaders and inundated each year by spearheading a strong partnership of communication and collaboration. Thanks to Tom, thousands of young people in Springfield are learning, communicating, persisting, thriving, leading, and working as active members in their community. And this year, as a part of the Discovering Justice Annual Gala, which commences next week, we're honoring 5 people or institutions across the state who have risen above as partners in the work of civics. In my role, I've had the privilege of working with leaders from over 30 Massachusetts school districts, and I can enthusiastically say that Tom Richelli stands out in every single way. It's a joy to collaborate with him and to learn from him as a partner in his work, and an honor to present him with the Discovering Justice 2024 Partners for Justice Award. Thank you.
School committee members?
I'll go. Can I go?
Yeah,
Only because I'm familiar with Discovering Justice. I
Yes,
also
you are.
had the opportunity of being at the Equity Conference with Tom several years back in Washington, D.C., and we just had like really great conversations. And I remember walking away and telling, at the time it was Stefania Rochilla, like, I really like this guy. Like, he's so good. And he had all this great energy and enthusiasm. And every time you come before us in curriculum and programs, you always have really great ideas. I'm really excited for you. I was thrilled when I saw the announcement that you were the recipient. And I'll just add, I know I have done it, and I believe Attorney Phelps has done it, and some others have done the mock court, and it's just such an exciting thing for our kids to be able to participate in. So congratulations, I'm really excited for you.
Thank you.
School committee members?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Ms.
I just
Gresham?
want to say congratulations, well deserved.
Thank you.
Mr. Collins?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I say that we'll match our teachers up against anybody in the nation, and the same is true of our dedicated people in central office. Tom, you are a shining example that we have just such a depth of knowledge and empathy and people who are doing the work. And your work doesn't get seen by the parents and the kids. So I'm glad it's being seen here tonight. The results of your work does, and they feel it, but your personal efforts don't get seen. So I'm glad we're acknowledging them here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Senator Murphy?
Hi, Tom. Well, first of all, congratulations on the award, and thank you for all your years of service to Springfield and our kids. I have also participated in mock trials and mock appeals, and also been to some high schools to talk about like case studies. And you know, I think kids really, I mean, obviously you're at a much deeper level than I was at, but I think kids really enjoy the sort of change that they really, you know, they watch things on TV, you know, certain shows, and it's not really, it's not necessarily an accurate depiction of what the justice system is like. And so I think it's great for the kids, it's fun for them, you know, and it's meaningful for them, and thank you very much. Congratulations, and thank you for all your work.
Thank you.
Tom, I'd like to say, again, with our Springfield Public School systems on real-life teaching that we're doing, whether it's financial literacy, but on the justice system, and who knows how many attorneys that you're possibly creating down the road. And when that young person gets that twinkle in their eye saying, you know, this is something I might want to pursue and do, and I know your lovely wife is here. She's in education, too. Thank you very, very much on that. So it's always great to get such a prestigious award, and I know you're a very humble and genuine individual, but we congratulate you. We have something for you, but before we give you that, the podium is yours. Your honor.
All right, usually you guys give me a time limit, but tonight I'm going. So good evening, Mayor Sarno, Interim Superintendent Dr. Polich, esteemed committee members Collins, Gresham, Murphy, and Hurst. I'd like to say thank you. I'm usually someone who just stays immersed in the work, and that's what's important to me. I don't do the work for the recognition, but rather to build up our student community. As a lifelong resident of Springfield, I'm a home team guy. I will champion our students in our city as long as I'm allowed to do so. I believe that the work that we do at central office and our teachers, day in and day out, will help our students define our zip codes and help others see the schools, city, and community as I do, full of promise and full of successes. I want to say that this is an honor, but it's also much bigger than me. I help to make the connections and provide opportunities for our students, but it is in fact our teachers that are doing the work every single day, ensuring that those opportunities are realized and having a lasting impact on our students. As an educator, I've always tried to provide my students with experiences that they'll take with them, whether it's traveling to see a play, having a discussion dressed as a Greek god, goddess, or hero, traveling to the State House to present evidence on an education bill, or sharing, truly sharing about me while I see them. Letting each and every student know that I encounter that I believe in my soul, that they have the potential to achieve greatness and to voice their opinions, and that their opinions matter, and being able to express them is to ensure that they are listened to. I used to always tell my students that they should be effective producers and consumers of information and to question things. To not always take things at face value, but rather to do research, form their own opinions, and listen to opposing viewpoints. Not to argue, but to understand. I like to measure my successes and the successes of our school, knowing that many of you before me are products of Springfield Public Schools and active parts of our community. Many of you mentioned that you are part of our mock trials. Some of you are even in our Children Discovering Justice videos that our students see on a regular basis, which to me is so special because as kids learn about civics, they could run into people that they saw in those videos in their classroom at the Stop and Shop. They could see them as they're, going to church. So to me, it really is that civics in action. So that's why it's so important that you are all a part of the work that we're doing here. Again, I appreciate the recognition. I'm so thankful for the work that is happening to benefit our school and community. It is making a difference in inspiring our students to cultivate their voices for justice in our community and beyond. The work we're doing today will pay off in dividends in our future. It is important that I just wanted to say that, like, as people mentioned the mock trial, we just wrapped up maybe a couple weeks ago our mock appeals, and there were students who were trying cases who had fears of public speaking, who were challenged by our legal mentors, by the staff at Discovering Justice to continue to do the work, and rose up to the occasion, presented cases to federal judges, and were able to speak in a way that was eloquent and informative that I sometimes don't necessarily see adults do. So having that student realize that they had that potential inside of them with the encouragement and support of their teachers and peers allows her to now think of a career in law. And possibly be an attorney. I talked to her a little bit. I think she was still a little shy, but she also knows now that there are a number of jobs in that realm, in that field. So she may not necessarily be a trial attorney, but there are a lot of opportunities now that she realizes that she has. And I think that the work that we do in history and social science, whether it be financial literacy, whether it be civics, whether it be college and career pathways, we're opening it up to our students, and we're building a greater Springfield as we do it. So that, to me, is the most important thing. So thank you all for recognizing me. I appreciate everything that you do every day for our students in our city.
Thank you, Tom. Don't go anywhere, Tom. Hold on.
Can I just say one more thing, too?
Yes, you can,
Tom,
Dr.
I wanted to say thank you, not only for this award, but for being a fantastic team member and to step up, show up, and do whatever it takes, all with a smile on your face, and just taking the ball and running with it, whether it's the financial literacy part or the college and career programming. You do it all, and you do it all with a smile and such grace, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ball. Tom, you have from all of us here, Springfield Public Schools, Springfield, Massachusetts, an honor and recognition of Tom Richelli for his tireless dedication and commitment to all students, his exceptional educational leadership, and his work to ensure all students know what justice is. This is presented to you on the 20th day of June 2024, signed by myself, Mayor Dominic Sarno, and Interim Superintendent Dr. Michelle Balch, and all our school committee members. Come on down, Tom.
Come on down. Bob Barker.
Thank you so much, Tom. And to your wife, too, what you do for us in the educational field, too. Thank you. We will now move to reports of standing committees. Student and parent concerns, Ms. Gresham.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we discussed it already.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. Any questions or comments? Thanks for your efforts. Building and Maintenance Committee, Mr. Collins.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Legislative Contracts Committee, Ms. Naylor is absent. She's could not attend another event. Curriculums Program Committee, Ms. Hurst, please.
No report at this time, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Hurst. Budget Finance, Mr. Collins, please.
We did have a meeting. We discussed almost everything that we discussed in the Budget and Finance except for one item, which I'll bring up under new business.
Okay. Any questions or comments, Mr. Collins? Okay. Vocational Education Committee, Attorney Murphy.
No report.
Thank you, Attorney Murphy. It's great to have you back. Technology Committee, Vice Chair Gonzalez, again, he's unable to attend. He's at an event. H is School Safety Committee, Ms. Gresham.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Gresham. I is Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. Ms. Hurst, please.
No report at this time, Mr.
Thank you very much. The student representative has been Jaylani Vergara from the High School Science Technology. I don't know if she is on and school is over, but we appreciated her efforts. Jaylani, are you on by any chance? We understand if you're not. Thank you and have a great summer. Report of the Superintendent, Interim Superintendent, Dr. Balch, please.
All right, our summer projects are well underway. We have anticipated completion for school opening in your packet. I don't know if they're all in there. We can get you a list of the projects and anticipated timelines. Our summer school is going to begin on July 8th. We have a lot of programming across the district, including a focus on arts and the music, and programs for our students with disabilities and our multilingual learners. In your packet is also a list of the school meal sites, and that's for informational purposes. Meal distribution started today. In your packet is also a report that discusses our school meal breakfast participation, and particularly on page 8, you can see that Springfield has the highest breakfast participation rates in the state, and I'll bring your attention to page 8, which includes a case study from Springfield. It's a great effort on behalf of everybody to make sure students have access to breakfast. And a couple of sports recognitions. The Central baseball team made it to the Elite 8. They lost to BC High, but they made it to be one of the top 8 teams in the state.
And that's Division I, period, in the state.
That's right. The Central boys volleyball team lost in round 32 of the state tournaments. Congratulations to you all for making it that far. The Central boys track and field won Western Mass, a regional tournament. Congratulations, great job. The Central girls softball team lost in round 32 of the state tournament. Congratulations. And finally, the high school and most appropriately here, we have the High School of Science and Technology boys volleyball also lost in round 32, but congratulations to all of you. Great job.
Thank you, Dr. Balch. Any questions or comments of Superintendent Dr. Balch's report? Hearing none, we'll move to unfinished business. Hearing none, we'll move to new business.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Collins?
During the Budget and Finance Committee meeting, we had an item on the agenda which was to amend the Massachusetts school choice, and there was a language in there to amend it from kindergarten through grade 8 to kindergarten through grade 12. I am asking that this be put on the next agenda.
Any questions or comments? Okay, we'll look to put that.
Can I ask a clarifying question? The subcommittee agenda or the full committee?
The next full committee agenda. It's been the subcommittee already. We had 2 members, and one member wasn't prepared to move it forward, so I'll bring it to the full committee so they can discuss it.
So is it that I just finished reading those notes, so was it that the other member wasn't willing to move it forward? Because it says no motion was given, so doesn't that mean it fails? Like it didn't move out of committee?
There was no motion to recommend it to the full school committee.
So then how does it come to the full school committee?
Because under our rules, any member under new business can ask to have an item put on the next school committee agenda, and that's what I'm following is our rules.
Okay.
Is this just a technical thing?
No, that's why I was asking, because I wanted to
It's-
better understand
I mean,
how
the change of the
that
language
happened.
from 8 to
And
12.
have we gotten our new rules yet? Because don't we have to vote on our new rules? Did it come out of subcommittee?
That's an old, but this is one of our existing rules.
Okay.
Request something under new business to be put on the next school committee's agenda.
On the full agenda, so he does not have to go through subcommittee.
That's
It can
correct.
come straight to us. And it comes straight to us as a discussion item or a vote?
A discussion item.
Okay, got it. So that
Okay.
everybody
No,
gets.
as a voting item,
And I'm sorry, I wasn't clear whether.
as a
you-
voting item,
This particular one is being put on as a voting item.
correct. The member that didn't want to make the motion had an objection that the member stated was, it's really just about me, and said, so, but there was only two of us there, so you can't have even if I left the chair and made a motion, there wouldn't be a second, so nothing happened to it at that. It's, the explanation that was given during the subcommittee meeting, it's a pretty inane change, but I don't want to get into discussion right here because that's not appropriate. That's why I asked to have it put on the next agenda item, and Pat Roach can come and explain the change to us.
So if I could just add,
Attorney Phelps.
answer Ms. Hurst's question directly. Depending upon what the request is, it can be put on for the next agenda as discussion item, as a voting item, or a discussion and voting item.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Collins, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Gresham. Roll call vote is required. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Monroe Naylor, absent. Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Ms. Gresham?
Yes.
Ms. Hurst?
Yes.
Attorney Murphy?
Yes.
Mr. Gonzalez, absent. Mayor Sarno?
Yes, more than sufficient vote, this matter passes. Good evening, thank you for watching, and have a great, safe summer.